Well, welcome finally to X's and O's.
Oh my goodness, that was tough.
This is the fun part about live video, right? Is sometimes we're live, but it's not ready. But anyway, welcome. Thank you. I hope we haven't disrupted your day, but we're still in our time zone of about 35 minutes. So Leslie, let's dive right into it. What is today's topic?
Well, the topic today is your ego ruining your business? And that's something that happens to a lot of people, and they may not even be aware that they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? So there's three basic parts of your personality. There's the id, and the id is the part of our personality that says, I want it and I want it right now. Okay, so if you think about babies, when they're hungry or wet, they start to cry because they want to be fed or changed immediately. So that's the id part of our personality. And if you ask some of my vendors, they will tell you that I live in the id all the time because I am very impatient about vendor services quite often. Then there's the ego, and the ego is the part that says, okay, I'm going to use some logic and maybe delay my response or my behavior for some more socially acceptable period of time. For example, you're hungry, but you're at work, and so you have to wait till lunchtime to take care of it. That's simple example.
Okay.
And then there's the superego, and that's the piece of our personality that uses morals to define how we behave. So, maybe you're broke and you're considering robbing a bank, but your superego says, yeah, probably not. That's not a good idea.
Let's just do a convenience store.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
But you know what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
that's a part of it where you weigh the pros and cons a little more with your superego as far as how your own moral values apply.
So which one gets us in trouble then?
The ego gets us in trouble the most.
The middle one.
The middle one.
Middle child.
Because if you look up the definition of ego, it says that we're looking for a socially acceptable way to behave. But that isn't always accurate, because a lot of times that we behave in a way that we think is socially acceptable or behave in a way that seems harmless when in fact it's causing distress to others and can affect your business negatively when you do it in the business environment.
Can you give us an example of that?
Can I give you an example of that? Well, I'm going to give you a bunch of examples, so just off the top of my head, because we're late, let's just get right into it.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 4 areas or tips about how to avoid letting your ego hurt your business.
Okay.
So the first one, and these are in reverse order, I'm saving the best one for last. The first one is that if you find that you're emotional, here's an example, if you find that you're emotional over your business, then you're confusing your personal self and your business self. So your ego is confused.
So your ego is really wrapped up as your business.
Correct.
Okay. And it can ebb and flow with a bad attitude, or with bad business, bad attitude.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So as an example, last week, one of my consulting clients called and said that she was really upset because one of the people that worked for her, who'd been with her the longest, had violated some company policies, and she felt betrayed and upset. And so it took me a while to get her to understand that betrayal and upset is not appropriate in that scenario. In order to resolve it properly, there are steps that you have to take that are more from the business perspective instead of her emotional, personal perspective, because she's close to the person, that she's been with her a long time. And it's logical that you would feel that way, because when you run a small boutique business in particular, it's difficult not to get overly involved with your employees and the people with whom you work.
Sure.
Right?
It's like your family.
It is your family.
Yeah.
So in this case, you need to take your emotion out of it. Okay, so you have to separate who you are as a person from who you are as the owner of the business, and then approach upsets or issues from the business professional ego perspective. Because ego is good and bad. So you've got to push the bad part aside and separate who you are from the business. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, are we in a position today to talk about how we do that, or is that not in today's topic?
Well, we can talk a little bit about how we do that. For example, and this happens to me quite a bit. If somebody unsubscribes to my newsletter, I have a tendency to take it personally, right? But actually, people behave from their own in their own self-interest, okay? And that's perfectly fine. They should. Everybody's the star of their own movie. We don't have any idea what's happening in their life or what they're what's going on their side that makes them not want to get our email, right? It's not necessarily personal. So I've had to work really hard not to react when somebody unsubscribes. And I had somebody just last week. I had several unsubscribes, and I always look at who they are, and I saw that they were people I didn't know or haven't worked with or haven't interacted with in years. So that kind of made sense. And I don't know what's going on in their life that they are cutting down their email.
Conditions might have changed, right?
Of course.
Yep.
So, but one of them was somebody who's a friend of mine. So her, I did contact, and it turned out her email address was on the email list multiple different ways, and so she just was cutting down the amount she was getting, which is perfectly fine.
So you're better.
I'm better. But that's a case where you can't let your emotion. You have to separate it. People have their own issues going on, and you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
Right?
Cool. Okay, that helps. Thanks. What's the next one?
The second one is close your mouth. Done. No, just
okay.
Kidding.
The next one.
So if you find that you talk over your clients all the time, or you have to have the last word, you've got an ego issue that's hurting your business, right? Clients want to tell you, give you feedback. And sometimes it's obvious, overt feedback that says, hey, you know what, have you ever thought about doing this in your business? Okay, but sometimes it's body language, like they're sitting with, all closed up. Sometimes it's more of a esoteric, obscure comment. So you really have to listen to what they're saying and doing behaviorally and literally so that you can recognize when they're trying to give you feedback. If you're always talking, you'll never hear it, right? And you can't get, when I started Executive Errands, for example, I thought I was going to do this scope of work. And over time, because of the requests of the clients and their suggestions, we're now doing this scope of work. So clients can take your business in all kinds of ways. But if I had said, nope, this is how I decide to do it, I'm only doing this, we would have never grown like we have. So you have to be flexible and listen, and it isn't necessary to get the last word in. Let people talk. Okay.
I like that.
Right?
What else?
Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay. I want you to toss defensiveness in the trash. Okay.
That's not an easy one, now.
It isn't.
It's not easy.
And if you follow the 4 agreements, this is the same as don't take anything personally.
Yep.
But when your ego is in control of your behavior, what happens is that you feel the need to defend all your decisions or any criticisms. And really and truly, you don't need to defend anything, right? You don't have to say, I did this because, or yeah, but, or any of that, right? You just need to let it go.
Let me ask you this, because that is a tough one. And honestly, have I been accused of being defensive over my lifetime? Absolutely. And I think because for me, and again, I'm not doing this because justifying it, but I'm just wondering, could it be that solo entrepreneur is almost like a mother or father of a child, and that's their business, and they're defending that child of business. And I'm not making it right or wrong. I'm just what ifing. Could it be that? I mean, are entrepreneurs? It would be interesting. Help me out. You go research that. Are entrepreneurs in general more defensive than someone who's a W-2 employee? Well, that's a good question.
Well, and I would say yes, in particular because, again, if you can't separate who you are from your business, then any criticism of your business, perceived or otherwise, is a personal affront to you as a human being.
So you really got to take care of getting separate. That this is my business, this is me. It has nothing to do with me. If they don't like the way I make an X, that's their problem.
That's right.
Moving on.
And that is absolutely true.
Thanks for the feedback. I'm moving on. Right?
It's true because everybody operates from their own perspective. They see what they want to see. They hear what they want to see. You cannot control that, right? You have to know what you want to do with your business, and you have to hopefully have integrity with that, and know that the business is here and I'm over here. I mean, literally, you have to think about it as the business is a bottle of water and I'm a pair of glasses, okay? And the two don't meet, okay? So when I'm in business mode, I'm all about the business. And when I'm me, I'm a basket. No, I'm just different, okay? Just sort of. Not really.
Different kind of basket.
Not really. I would say basket case is what I was going to say. But that's not true. But what I'm saying is that you have to keep them separate. If you can keep them separate, it's easier not to take things personally when something happens in your business, right?
Okay.
And I will tell you that, you know, the axiom is the customer's always right. And sometimes the customer's not right, okay? But you still have to fall on your sword or, you know, suck it up, eat some crow, whatever metaphor or you want. You have to find a way to smile and take it, because it doesn't do you any good to argue with somebody who's upset.
Right.
Right? And your ego is the part of you that wants to argue and say, yeah, but or you don't understand what happened, or, you know, why do you feel this way when I'm working so hard to do this? And it doesn't matter. They feel that way because that's how they feel.
How do you, again, I'm not asking you to be a psychologist, but how do you?
I'm a bottle of water right now.
You're a bottle of water right now. So how does one, if they see that someone is criticizing their work and they don't, and maybe the business doesn't realize they've spent this much time and all this effort putting this together for them, and they see no benefit in it, and so how does one keep themselves separate from that in a way that they don't seem to be offended or defensive, so that it's a nice, smooth, like, transition? How do you do that, Leslie?
Typically, I thank them for their input. That's the best thing to do, is to say, thank you so much for your feedback. I really appreciate it. I will give it some consideration and see how that applies to us.
Okay, good.
Right? And then I let it go. Okay? Because, and maybe you should give some consideration to it. Again, if you can separate yourself from your business, then maybe there's some value in there that you didn't see originally, because, you know, all the hairs on the back of your neck went up and all you saw was red. Okay. Right? So you have to take a step back, and I really do strongly recommend that you don't respond to emails or phone calls or anything that makes you feel instantly upset. Right?
So
take some time. Yeah, breathe. Take some time. Sometimes I have to be peeled off the ceiling. You know, I have an employee who thinks it's really, really funny to twist me up, and he does a really good job at it. Okay? Got to give him credit for that. But I have learned that it's better to call him when he sends me an email that twists me up. Because again, there's no voice inflection in email. I'm reading it from my own perspective. Right. So then I have to look at what's wrong with me that I'm twisting myself up, because maybe he didn't mean it that way. Usually he does, actually. But what if he didn't, you know? Yeah. And so I will call him and say, hey, I didn't understand this. What exactly did you mean by it? And then he'll clarify, and then we're all good. Right.
I like that. So even in non-verbal communication, it's probably just as, if not more important, to misinterpret what those words on your phone or tablet actually mean. Right?
Texting is the worst.
But it's easy. I'll play the devil's advocate. It's easy to do, Leslie, when all of a sudden you have, in your mind, you have plenty of ammunition of how that person acts, that employee acts when he gets you twisted. What did you say? Twisted up.
Twisted up. Yep.
Twisted up.
Yep.
You know, so that's your point of reference, right?
Right.
So those are the glasses, aren't they?
They are.
So you have to really separate yourself.
Go back to the water bottle.
Is it easy?
Not always.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, if you follow Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements, right, one of them is don't take things personally. And that is probably the most challenging aspect of the Four Agreements, is to, and again, it's separating yourself from the other person's behavior, right? That's really what it comes down to, because people act from their own interests, and you don't know if they're not having a bad day. You don't know that they couldn't get the electronics to work and now are all frustrated. You don't know if they have a health issue. Maybe their child is sick at home. You never know. I helped somebody with this not a few years ago. Somebody contacted me and said that there was a woman at work who was just driving them crazy because she kept purposefully, that was the statement to me, purposefully doing things to upset me, right? Not me, but the person that was talking to me. Right. And I used the same logic with her. I said, well, what's her story? Do you know her well enough to know? Is there something going on at home? Is there this or that? And she didn't know. So she actually made the effort to find a little bit about this person. And once she did, she realized that her behavior was rooted in something at home and not something at work. And they ended up becoming friends over it. Wow. So really and truly, you need to find out a little bit more about what's going on, or you need to just walk away from it entirely. There's no good that comes out of responding in the heat of the moment.
I love that. Great
Okay.
message. And number one?
And number one, here's our drum roll. See, it even says drum roll right here.
Oh, drum roll,
Okay.
there we go.
So the number one way to help keep your ego in check when you're running your business is to look at everything from the client's perspective. Okay, and you would not believe, or you probably would believe, how many times people will send me an email for a new opportunity that they want to respond to the request for proposal with some questions. How often that email is written from me instead of from you, right? So, or how many times a proposal is written that way. And it is a little bit of a skill to learn how to do, right? You have to stop and say, wait a minute, you don't need to work with me because I'm the best at what I do. You need to work with me because I can solve this, and this problem for you, right? So if you can look at things from the other person's perspective, the client's perspective, and say, what kind of products and services do they want? What kind of customer service do they like? I'll give you an example. A lot of people who start these lifestyle management companies, like my other company is, I look at their websites and they have, I work from 9 to 5, and after that there is an extra charge from evening and double on the weekends, and maybe I'm not available at all here. And I think to myself, this is a customer service business, full up, no BS. It isn't anything else except pure customer service. If you're doing pure customer service, wouldn't you want to be available at the convenience of your clients?
Yeah, I would think so.
Right?
Yeah.
So limiting your availability is a me thing, right? And I can understand if you have family and small children and you need to parse out your time so that you have some balance in your life, I get that. But most clients we're available 24/7, 365, okay? But our clients know and respect that our evenings and weekends, and typically only contact us in case of a real emergency, but they know that they can get to us, right? And that's the difference. So if you're looking, and I'm just using that, I'm not criticizing anybody who limits their time, I'm just saying that that's a perfect example of looking at it from my perspective versus looking at it from the client's perspective, right? So you need to think about how everything you do, every decision you make is how would the client see that? We had a situation just last week, actually, where we have a new client. We've signed up a bunch of new clients lately, which is awesome. And one of my employees went up there to do a task that the client asked us to do and started identifying all these other little things that need to be done. Okay, which is great. That's a good upsell. That's a good being conscientious about the job and everything. But the house had just come off the market, right? So the client actually wanted to sell his house. So he really probably isn't looking to do a bunch of repair work, right? And we just had him for like 2 days. So I don't want him to feel like we're trying to be all, trying to upsell all this work, right? That's not the intent. So I told her, don't send any of this to the client because this is not the time for it, right? If he asks for something, we'll do it. And if we've been with him for a while, he decides not to sell his house, then maybe we suggest this or this because we see that it needs to be done. But you don't go after a client right off the bat and say, oh, what about this? Because how is he going to see that?
Sure, he's just going to think, hey, the only reason you're in here is just to, like you said, upsell me on everything.
Right.
I just asked you for this one thing, this plug-in to be fixed.
Exactly.
Next thing you know, I got to have a new roof.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's not a way to go about customer service. I always look at what are they going to think?
Yeah.
How are they going to perceive it? It's getting really warm in here. It's 115 degrees outside, you guys, and we have to turn the air off to run this broadcast because it makes too much noise. So we start to get pretty warm in here.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up. So you've got the 4 points. Let's just give us the headlines again on the.
Okay. So I just want to give you So I'll summarize that. So you need to separate your business self from your personal self so that you can take the emotion out of running your business. Okay. Right. Then you need to close your mouth and let the other person talk and really hear what they're saying and give consideration to their point of view. Okay? Then you need to what I say, toss defensiveness in the trash, right? So you don't want to take things personally. The customer's not always right, but you need to treat them like they are and figure out how to fix whatever problem exists. And we've done shows about difficult clients, and there's other information, but for the purpose of this, let's assume they're a good client, but they just had some criticisms. Okay? And finally, we want to look at everything from the client's perspective, and I can't stress that enough. Even if we didn't talk about anything else today, that's the most important thing. Okay? Because if you do it all from me and not from them, you'll have a really hard time building your business.
Yeah. Leslie, for those people who would say, hey, I really like what I heard, is this going to be available?
Yeah, the download, I think, is there a link, Amy? There's a download right there. You can click to get this white paper with my notes on it about, actually, it's a bunch more stuff. It's not just bullets. And you'll sign up for our newsletter when you do that. If you want some help learning how to separate yourself from your business or how not to take things personally, you can give me a call at 760-898-9604, or you can go to our website. I don't know, is that up for them, Amy? She's putting it up for you, conciergebusinesssolutions.com, and there's all kinds of information there and a contact me page.
Beautiful.
Or you can email me through Facebook too.
Now you have a whole library of learning things. I mean, if you've been watching the show for any length of time, or this is your first time here, Leslie, in her background, she runs two companies, and then you're also
my software company, yeah.
And you're full-time, or you're also a mentor. Right, a coach. So if you feel like you saying, hey, I'm at a point where, you know what, I'm at that X, I'd like to get to O, and I don't know how to get there, give Leslie a call. The phone number and the email information's on the screen. You can do that, or you can just say, you know what, there's some things I need to know, like getting my business started. She has a list of content that she's put together that are real basic, not basic, excuse me, the foundation of building a business.
Right.
How do they get that?
Well, we have the DVD collection, which is called How to Start Your Own Business with Leslie Spoor. That's me. We had to put my name in there to make sure that everybody knew it was mine. And that is a 6 DVD collection that has pretty much everything you need to know to have a good foundation to start your business.
To stay on the happy path.
To stay on the happy path, that's right. But there's also a plethora, I love that word, a bunch of webinars out on the website that you can download, and they're extremely affordable and contain the information that we get asked the most. That way it saves you on the consulting, the cost of the consulting, to do that. And then we also license out my software, and when we do that, our licensees get unlimited access for consulting at no extra charge, which is a huge selling feature.
Buy the software.
Buy the software, yeah. You'll save a lot of money, and I'll help you as much as you need. So
now,
that's a big deal.
You always said something when we were filming those. You said, if you ever have a topic that's not on there, let you know. Is that still true?
It's absolutely true. And we will create a webinar or do this broadcast about a topic that you're interested in, so that it'll save you time. I mean, yes, I'm trying to make a living, and everybody is, right? That's part of why we're in business. But my main goal is to make sure that you get as much value as possible and that you're able to grow yourself into a success. I love to see somebody start their own company and then help them be successful. And so many times people don't know what they don't know.
That's true. Right?
So, and then they come to me and they say, well, I can't afford the consulting, but certainly you can afford a webinar at $49, right? Yeah. You're going to get an hour's worth of content that would be $150 on the consulting side. So it isn't so much about the money for me, it's about how I can get the information to you in a way that you can afford it, right? So if you have a topic and I create a webinar for that, then you get to have it for free. So,
cool.
I mean, you can't go wrong, right?
Cool. Well, Leslie, I know it's hot, so I want to say thank you. Any other last things before we take off?
No, that's it for today.
Because I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to shut my mouth. Thanks for joining. I'm Jeff Harrison.
I'm Leslie Spoor.
With X's and O's. We'll see you next week on Wednesday at 3 o'clock.
That's right.